Yeah, we're back. This is your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 518. We're recording live on Tuesday, May the 25th. And yeah, happy Tuesday, everybody. How are you, Brianna?
I'm hanging,
Yeah.
hanging. I'm hanging on. Yeah, it's so crazy. House is like mostly, getting to be in boxes. The walls are starting to be bare and the movers are starting to pack and come tomorrow. So it is real, guys. I'm like actually leaving Atlanta. I can't believe it. Um, but yeah, it's a crazy time in the Lopez house right now, but it's good. I'm excited and, just ready to get settled for the summer and maybe take a deep breath. I need to go for a long walk on the beach alone.
There you go.
Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. It's not a lot of changes or anything crazy exciting here. The weather's been hot. It's like I think 95 today with the here in Toronto with the humidity and everything. So it's hot for May. We don't usually get that this time of year. I'm sure it'll drop back down soon. So there's that. We had a long weekend, so but we're still in lockdown as a province, so there wasn't a lot you can do. There's a lot of people doing fireworks and whatnot, so that was kind of fun to watch. And yeah, my Blue Jays have been kind of stinking it out lately, six straight losses, so that's not good. But my Maple Leafs won last night, so hey, there's sort of the good and the bad. There you go. So yeah, otherwise, that's about it. We've got a good show for you. Four stories as usual that we want to cover off, and I'll let Aubriana start us off.
Well, here I go. So this is, not a really huge story, but it's an interesting story, kind of staying on the sports topic. WNBA is partnering up with Twitter on a digital hoodie. So this has obviously it's the Women's National Basketball Association, and it just launched. I think Friday with maybe 2 Fridays ago their season, and so all the players and friends and influencers were sporting this special hoodie as a collaboration with Twitter, and it has a hashtag W on the front of it, and it's actually a QR code as well, so it can be scanned. And whenever it's scanned, it goes to like this automatic tweet that you can share that just says that you stand with the WNBA and the causes that they support and are fighting for. So obviously, some of these things include, just you know, civil, social causes, racial issues that have been obviously top of everybody's mind lately, and so really, really interesting, just showing support and bringing people together. And I think this is interesting. I there's pieces of this that I do like. I think that it would be great to have more insight or examples about, the causes that they're standing for and they represent. I'd love to hear more about that. And I'm sure they'll be talking about it throughout the year, throughout the season. And so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that and how they use this. But, also as a QR code needs to be able to be scanned. And so, I'm interested to see how are they actually going to kind of link the two and get more people able to scan those QR codes, like from, if it's just mostly the players that are wearing those, then, and you're watching on TV, how does that work? Or even, from the stands with like limited capacity, still being able to get close enough to somebody to be able to scan that and kind of interact there is kind of interesting to me, but I'm sure they're thinking about how they can amp this up. So at the core of it all, I like the concept. I like, being able to support women, bring people together on causes that are good for, everybody as a whole. And obviously supporting women in sports is something I definitely am a big supporter of. And I think that, it's a great concept in terms of execution and getting the word out and having people share more, post more from the actual sweatshirt to the Twitter link. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'm not sure on the adoption and actually the efficacy. So I'm going to follow this hashtag and see what I can see trending, and maybe I'll give you an update next time we chat.
Yeah, I mean, I love the notion of it. I think you know, there's a lot of good happening here, and you know, first of all, I don't know about you, but I was surprised, like, you know, when I was reading in the article that this is the 25th season of the WNBA. Like, to me, the WNBA wasn't around when I was a kid, you know, so I was like, okay, wow, 25 years. That's a big accomplishment, right? And so that's pretty cool. Just to start things off. You know, I think it's interesting too that we're talking about these social justice issues and some of these causes. You know, today, the 25th of May, that we're recording this on, is also the 1 year anniversary of the killing of George Floyd. And, you know, so I think there's a lot of people out there, myself included, you know, who are, you know, sort of awakened to a lot of these issues, right? And I think, you know, the more we shine a light on these things, the more we have dialogue and discussion about some of these issues, you know, the better. And I think that it's important to talk about some of these things. And I'm glad to see that a league like the WNBA is trying to do something to, you know, facilitate and start that discussion. So I'm with you, though. I mean, I don't know, you know, how this particular QR code is going to get sort of out into the world. You know, as far as I understand, these hoodies aren't even really available for sale yet. It's the players and the coaches and you know, staff and things like that that are kind of have access to them. So hopefully they'll start selling them and you know, they become more widely available. You know, that being said, the QR code can just be shared digitally as well. And you know, I do like the fact that you know, when you scan it, it creates this sort of automated tweet ready to go, and that integration I think is brilliant. And you know, I think we talk a lot on the show with other stories and other campaigns about how there's a need to have more social amplification, you know, tied into it. And I think this almost sort of is on the other side. It's really focused on that automated tweet and messaging and creating social content. Now we need more on the other side, which is, you know, how do we actually get this into the hands of people, so that that can happen. So, but otherwise, I think it's a good mashup. I like the collaboration, and I like that they're kind of shining a light on these social justice issues. All right, on to our second story. So, well-known LBMA member company here, Gimbal, has launched a new service for pickup and deliver, you know, well, pickup solutions for brands and retailers and restaurants. So we've talked a lot over the last year, you know, as COVID has hit many of these businesses hard, about the need for location-aware, you know, sort of order online, pick up at store, pick up at restaurant type of capabilities. Challenge with that is that so many of these solutions require an app, you know, to sort of power that experience, and an SDK to kind of go into that. And Gimbal certainly played, you know, heavy into that space, along with many other technology companies out there. You know, they've got an SDK that you can bake into your app and make sort of the location awareness of, you know, where the order is in the queue, and you know, when you can pick it up and all that sort of stuff. It's called On the Way, or On My Way. And they've sort of extended this further now to a web app. So even if you don't have sort of a native mobile app that you can install and download from the App Store and install on your device, you can actually, you know, take advantage of a lot of the same capabilities that are available in their app SDK now through a web app type of interface. So, you know, browser-based functionality connects to mobile orders, placed through, you know, the app or the website. For curbside or in-store or drive-through pickup, and so I think this is really cool. I think it really opens up the sort of concept and the idea and the functionality to much greater scale. And I think you know, having most of the same capabilities that you can have with a sort of embedded SDK in an app, I think is really interesting. And obviously that sort of time-based element of, you know, the order time and when you can pick it up and so on is so critical to you know, the restaurant industry and the retail sector in particular. So I think this is you know, a big move. I think this is something that can actually change the game for many folks out there who don't have the wherewithal to go and invest in building an app for their brand, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, that don't see the need for it longer term. Just having something that's web-based like this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I agree. I was very excited about this story for sure. I think this definitely, it's like asked and answered. We definitely have been asking for more solutions. We just had this long chat on Clubhouse, I think last week, about how can we enable small businesses? How can they be better served by the technology that's available at without having to invest at that premium level? And this is an exact example of what we're looking at, right? So being able to use this just with a website, not having to have that native mobile app, I think is great. This is something that's great for, like you said, those mom and pop locations, single or minimal retail locations for delivery and pickup, more for, for pickup. But I love this. I think this is exactly what we want to see more of. And I'm excited to see how they sort of how they push this out from a go-to-market perspective and how they start to spread the word. And I'm also very curious about how they monetize this with those small businesses. A lot of times we hear about like all of the delivery services that are available for restaurants, for example. And, there's a lot of price gouging. It's super expensive. Not only is it more expensive for consumers, but it's super expensive for the businesses. Their margins are much smaller than they already even are, especially, food doesn't usually have great margins all the time. So I think that, it'll be interesting to see how they set that up and structure that as well.
Yeah, and I think the conversation that we had on Clubhouse last week. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I think that a key point of that discussion was about these small businesses and so a lot of these solutions just not being affordable. And I think having if you don't have to make that investment in building like an actual app, and you can do these, have the same functionality but do it in a web-based framework, I think it makes a ton of sense. So I'm really excited about this. And before I forget, for those of you who are listening and watching, the third Thursday of every month, we are doing what we're calling Retail Loco Conversations on Clubhouse. So if you're on Clubhouse or you're thinking about getting on Clubhouse, get on there, search for the LBMA or Retail Loco, and you'll find that there. And then join us on the third Thursday of every month. They're at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So, yeah, good times. All right, next story.
Yeah, so maybe maybe Goomba will actually move into the drone world at some point where they're delivering things via drone. But right now, I think that's definitely left to some really large players, including Kroger. So Kroger now is testing drone delivery, and they've launched this pilot delivery program that they're working on right now. And they are just, they're the largest retail grocery store in the US. And they're starting with what they're calling these bundled offerings. So some examples of that might be a s'mores bundle. So something that could include graham crackers, chocolate, marshmallows, things that weigh less than 5 pounds, really. And then maybe like a child wellness bundle. So maybe some over-the-counter medication and some fluids, Pedialyte or whatever it may be that you need if you have a sick kid at home and don't want to venture out. And so, obviously there's a lot of effort that's been going into testing and piloting drone delivery and how can we make things easier, faster, this very consumer focused, on what is the easiest way to reach our consumers and deliver to them and grow that margin has just been skyrocketing, obviously, with the pandemic and everything. This business has been growing like crazy. So the e-commerce business, which includes pickup, delivery, and ship, reached more than 10 billion in sales in 2020. I mean, that's not a small number, right? So the Kroger as a company is partnering with some other companies. One is called Drone Express, and that's a division of Telegrid Technologies. So they're delivering to the location of a consumer's cell phone. And, Kroger is saying like, hey, this is great. If you have a sick friend, you can send something to them. Or if you run out of cooking oil in the middle of dinner time, you can get a quick delivery of that. So, they're saying that right now, Drone Express is going to start off by doing flights near Centerville, Ohio, which is where Kroger is based out of. And then, they're going to start doing more expansion from there with additional monitoring. And they're also setting up another test this summer at Ralph's store in California. And they're hoping to progress from this testing, kind of alpha beta stage to general availability by the spring, which is really soon. And we've been talking more and more about consumer centric delivery, all of these different things that just have ease of use and make things super, accessible to all of us that have just been getting more and more spoiled with how quickly we can obtain things. We talked about Domino's and the work that they were doing with some of their automated cars and testing that out. We've heard about Walmart testing these things out as well. So, this is not going to go away. I think there's still a lot of testing likely to be done and trying to figure out how this is going to work. Is it just, less than 5 pounds that's only going to be able to be delivered, or, what's going to be the parameters and what's going to be the new normal around this? It's exciting to figure out, but I love that this is, the way that they're kind of moving forward, and the bundle idea is good marketing. I think it's good packaging to start off with. And, I'm excited to see how this moves forward as well.
Yeah, I think this is a good story, and I think that the last point you made is the part that I'm kind of most excited about. I love the idea of these bundles. I think sort of creating these little sort of care packages or these bundles that are associated with sort of especially sort of the the one around child wellness. I think that makes a ton of sense, right? Like, hey, here's some medication, or here's some diapers, or here's some whatever, that kind of thing, where I'm a busy parent. I don't want to run out right now. Makes a ton of sense to me, right? And I think if you can get that, whatever it is that you can fit into that 5 pound sort of limit size, and create these sort of thematic bundles, I think that makes a ton of sense. I mean, I was thinking, about, does this make sense for something like flower delivery, for Mother's Day, delivering flowers? Like, can 1-800-Flowers get into this business, or, or those kinds of things, right? As far as like, I think about these bundles where like, okay, I need to send a sympathy bundle now, or I need to send a, whatever. Could be super interesting, right? To approach it that way. So I love the bundling idea. The other thing that popped into my head as I was thinking about this is, and it kind of triggered for me when you mentioned about the, hey, I've run out of olive oil and I need to get some olive oil right now. And I was thinking back to, when Amazon had their dash buttons. And you remember they had the sort of the Tide dash button and the Gillette dash button and the whatever. And the idea of this thing is this was like a physical button that you would put by your like washing machine, and it would be internet connected to your Amazon account, your Amazon Prime account. And if you had run out of laundry detergent, you would just press the button, and it would automatically place an order, and the detergent would be on its way. Now I'm thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool, like, if there were certain things like that were linked to a drone delivery, right? Because to me, like if I'm hitting that button, it's I need it now, right? I've run out of thing. I got to get my laundry done. I need that right now. It's not like next day. I need it like next hour, right? And so, I think there's something interesting there, and now that Amazon's no longer doing the dash buttons, they've dropped that completely, and they kind of more into taking the concept and the technology and integrating it into hardware and other solutions. I think there's maybe a gap there, maybe an opportunity there for somebody to step in, perhaps a grocery chain or a pharmacy chain or somebody like that, to play into that space. But I think there is something there about sort of the timeliness of what you can do with a drone delivery. And I think the other part of the story that I noticed is that there is a bit of a positioning around a drone delivery being environmentally friendly versus sort of a more traditional delivery that involves a vehicle and exhaust and fuel and other things, right? So I think there's something there as well that could appeal to definitely to a certain clientele. So I think there's a big future ahead for drone deliveries, and we'll see how the brands play around with it.
Yep, for sure.
All right, final story now. Our friends at IKEA have teamed up with Pinterest, and on a new campaign that they've put together called Renocations. So yes, it's a mashup of renovation and vacation, and it's not a staycation; it's a renocation. And so this was sort of dreamed up by Wavemaker, Ogilvy, and Jebbit, which I assume are there are three agencies that they work with. And essentially, the way it works is that there's a quiz that they've developed, 3-question quiz, and you basically answer this quiz that's posted to you by an AI character. And basically, the AI character processes your answers to this quiz. And based on those answers, it comes up with a personalized Pinterest board that is inspired with content and product recommendations from IKEA that sort of is matched and derived from how you answered the quiz. So, I think people are certainly here in Canada where I am. People are still, we're in lockdown. We're still at home. There's a lot of renovation projects going on. I know Home Depot and Lowe's and brands like that have done very well during COVID. People have taken advantage of that time of working from home and being at home, and being forced in some cases to renovate to create workspaces that allow them to work from home and have home offices that they maybe didn't have before. And just making their home more comfortable and more livable. When you're there all day. And so I think that isn't going away. We know many employers are, going to continue to let their employees work from home. I know Google and many tech companies have already made announcements around that. And so I think that there's definitely a big opportunity here for IKEA and similar brands. I like the mashup with Pinterest. I think it's it's a neat way to sort of get the point across. And showcase their products. And I like that they're sort of, having a bit of fun with, answer these questions and having sort of an AI bot, if you will, sort of interpret that into a custom Pinterest board. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say about it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun. It's definitely the timeliness of it is great. There's still a lot of opportunity to, people more and more obviously thinking about how do I make my home space really where I love to spend time and that it's comfortable. So I'm sure that Pinterest usage and DIY ideas and getting creative on a budget has just, there's been an exorbitant amount of that, I think, this past year. And so I think this is fun. I think it's timely. And it's a thoughtful social campaign to do. And I like how they've teamed up. My only question or concern is like getting the word out, right? To initiate the idea of it. I think that's the hardest part, right? I think people are excited to do these kind of things, especially the fact that it's like 3 questions. That's great. But how do I find out about it, right? Do I have to be perusing on Pinterest to kind of find that quiz? Like what's their strategy there in terms of how they're pushing this out and getting people to be more and more involved in it? But overall, I think it's fun, and people are going to participate. They're going to say like, what can I get recommended, or what gives me the kind of vibe I'm looking for? And obviously the fact that it's from IKEA meets most people's budgets and, is accessible to a lot of people all around the world and get some good ideas and inspiration. So, I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think in terms of reach, in like looking at the article here, Pinterest is claiming now 85 million users on their platform, members on their platform. So that's a significant population there that they can tap into. And there's definitely been a lot of searching, a lot of trending for home related topics on the platform, right? I mean, as I said, and you've reiterated it, people are at home, people are trying to improve their workspaces and their home spaces. So I think this is could be a good mashup. So we'll see how it plays out. So that's it. That's our show for this week. You've been listening to episode number 518 of Location Weekly. We'll be back next week with another show. Aubriana will be in a whole different place, moving to another place. So we'll see if she makes it. But we wish you a happy move, Aubriana. And, as you leave Atlanta and move to the Big Apple. And, we'll see you soon. But for all of our listeners and watchers out there, thank you for your time. And please give us story ideas. Reach out to us with those. Give us some likes and some love on whatever social media or podcast platform you're consuming this on. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.